Hey guys, welcome back to part two. I just wanted to say one thing, resuming this, because I thought of a movie that I just passed over that wasn't in my list. I used to own it and I got rid of it, but I don't own Fight Club anymore. I got rid of it because I don't think Fight Club really resonates with me anymore. Not to say like I don't want to be masculine and disregard possessions, but at the same time, Edward Norton's like his just narration gets on my nerves. And once you've seen Fight Club once or twice, there really isn't anything more to chew on. And I don't really find the performances all that great. I think Brad Pitt looks really cool in the role, but I don't know. It just doesn't do a whole lot for me anymore. And I don't know. People still love the movie, but I just realized I wasn't really entertained or enjoying it because I knew everything that was going to happen, and I just wasn't having a good time. So I got rid of Fight Club. So that's one that you noticed in the last video was not in there. All right, so we're basically in the summer of 2000 chronologically, and by the time the end of this video will be 10 years later, summer of 2010, right as I basically graduated high school. So this should be good. This is like my core of this is basically my childhood. Yeah, this is my childhood, these years, a lot of this. All right, we have The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Really good movie. So it's weird because we had two historical war epics in The Patriot and Gladiator in the same year. I do think Gladiator's better. I mean, Ridley Scott, I think, is just a better director than this. Roland Emmerich made Patriot, the one disaster movie that he didn't make. But The Patriot is still really good. Mel Gibson's really good in this. Excuse me. I think this is the only other Heath Ledger movie I own besides The Dark Knight. But yeah, really good movie. I'd give The Patriot like a 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5. Really good. And I always liked Tom Wilkinson as the main British general. All right, we have X-Men. I got into the X-Men movies late. I'm afraid, and by late, I just mean like I didn't get into them until probably like 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. So I wish I would have seen this in theaters, but I think my mom probably would have been like, no, it's a little too mature for an 8-year-old. But I think this first X-Men movie is really slept on. I think it's really good. It feels really pure. I would say the downside, see, I'm trying to not have that reflection in there, sorry. My only downside for this is that I feel like just it's a little too hokey. Like the guy that got to play Sabretooth, he just, I don't know. Him and Toad, even though Toad's played by Ray Park, the guy that did Darth Maul, there's this little hokiness to this movie. But overall, really good. The casting obviously was great, and that's why these characters, that's why these actors have played these characters many times over the course of like 15 years, basically. So, yeah, but X-Men is just it's a really solid first outing. And when people, so I just watched the first Blade the other day, and it's not on my shelf. I liked it, didn't love it. But people give Blade the credit for like the superhero rise. In my opinion, when superhero movies became huge or became a real thing in pop culture was the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. But I would say this movie needs to get more praise because this is the summer of 2000, and like Blade had like really cheap special effects. This movie did not have like super cheap special effects. I think this is the first one that really deserves the credit for putting superhero movies on the map. You could say the '70s Superman, or you could say 1989 Batman. Those movies I don't think age that well. X-Men I think ages just fine. Remember the Titans. I haven't watched this movie in a while, but they used to be my go-to back in the day when I was first collecting. I think this is one of Denzel's best movies. I don't really own. I think this is the only football movie that I own, and like I haven't seen Friday Night Lights. I haven't seen Varsity Blues. I haven't seen The Replacements. I haven't seen Any Given Sunday. So they're on my list. But I don't think they could really beat Remember the Titans, because Remember the Titans has a real message, but it doesn't, to me, doesn't come across as hokey. I always loved that scene, obviously, where the one black linebacker is talking to the other guy. I think it's Billy Ray, Bobby Ray, I don't remember. But they're both going back and forth with each other. And he's saying, like, I'm supposed to, do sacrifice for the team? What team? And just, I don't know. The cast is so good in this, and I love that they did. It's so common to just make, like, the white people are bad and the black people are the victims. But I don't really feel like they do that in Remember the Titans. Denzel just comes across as like, we just need to move past this bull crap and just get on to trying to win games. So, really, really good movie. And the guys bond and become a brotherhood, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't come across as like super just cheesy. Okay, I think I said this last time. Unbreakable this is a top 10 movie for me of all time. I discovered it late, not until around 2014 or 15, and I was blown away. I was like, "Where has this been?" So I love this film. So I, the soundtrack, I believe this is James Newton Howard. He's great in here with his score. It's just perfect. And then obviously, I think this is M. Night Shyamalan's best movie. I haven't finished. I watched Sixth Sense back in the day when I was a kid. I need to rewatch it. But aside from that, I feel like I'm caught up on most of Shyamalan's stuff. But you know, as a young film collector, what threw me off is like I looked at this, and because it was made by the guy that did The Sixth Sense, I was thinking this is going to be some creepy thriller, some horror movie that I didn't want to watch, and it's not that at all. It's a superhero origin story, and Sam Jackson's great as Elijah. I don't know, the craftsmanship that went into this. I've said before, I love the way that he depicts like characters based off colors. Elijah is based off of purple, like he always is wearing purple, or everything that he has is purple. Bruce Willis's character David Dunn is always in green a lot of times, and then like later like Split, the sequel, the Beast is a lot of times in yellow, and those are like the three colors. And obviously in Glass they kind of talk about that more, but just it's a great film. If you haven't watched Unbreakable, go watch it. And I get it. Like that's a movie that I know a lot of people are like, "Where's the action at?" And I'm like, for me, I didn't really feel like I needed a lot of action. All this setup is my action. Castaway. I saw this in theaters when I was 8. It can be a sad film, but I think it is a really good film, and honestly, kind of slept on because I think nowadays people are just like Castaway. Okay, he's just on an island. What's the big deal? But the journey that he goes through, and then when he like you have to go through all that, but when he finally makes it back and he visits his now ex-wife who thought he was dead, some powerful stuff. So, and so this is I believe Robert Zemeckis, yeah, that directed this, and then I forgot who did the soundtrack for this. It's probably in here somewhere. I don't know. I'd have to get back with you guys on that. But the Castaway soundtrack is actually really good. Finding Forrester. This is a movie that I watched in like I think ninth grade language arts class, and I ended up tracking it down because I was like, I want to find this movie and see it. So this looks like a knockoff Blu-ray, but this is the only one that I found. I know this works. I watched it not too long ago. Works perfectly fine. It just looks like it's fake, but it's not fake. It's just a thicker case than what a normal Blu-ray would be. But this is one of my favorite Sean Connery movies. Like obviously he's done the James Bond movies and Hunt for Red October, which is like my favorite. But aside from that, this is just him in like a complete different role as a former writer who now is a recluse, and you're kind of trying to figure out the puzzle of what. That's kind of the riddle of this movie is what caused him to write one great book. He wins a Pulitzer Prize and then he just stops. It's great. It takes place in New York. I forgot what the guy's name is, the young actor that's in this. This is directed by Gus Van Sant, which I don't have many of his movies. I am struggling. Rob Brown, I think is the actor's name. He did a pretty good job. He, like, in so many movies, I feel like they do the whole, like, you don't understand my culture thing. And really, Rob Brown isn't doing that at all with his character. He's basically, I think the character's name is Jamal. He's just a guy that, part of him fits into, like, where he grew up and, like, you know, you want to say the hood. And he's like, hey, I can play basketball. I love playing basketball. I love hanging out with my friends. But there's another part of him that feels out of place where he's like, I love writing. And he's like, I don't really have anyone that I can share that with around me. And it's kind of like lucky that he makes a friend out of Forrester. And it's a really good, solid movie. I think everyone, especially if you enjoy writing, you should give it a shot. Snatch, I just rewatched this. I'd seen Snatch before. My favorite character in here is Bricktop, the villain. I love him. Brad Pitt's also great. I do it for a caravan. You like Dags? Snatch, like I said, I used to have this one ranked lower than Lock, Stock. I've now switched that. I think Snatch is better. Snatch has a higher production value. The actors that he got are better. The plot, I think, is better. And Bricktop's a really good villain. So, yeah, Jason Statham does a good job. And then the rest of the supporting cast that Guy Ritchie seems to grab are, amazingly talented. So, Snatch is really good. If I was ranking my Guy Ritchie movies, I'd probably say I don't think Snatch is my favorite. I love the Sherlock Holmes movies just because I love those stories more. So I would say I'd probably go Sherlock Holmes 1, Sherlock Holmes 2, then maybe Snatch, The Gentleman, Rock and Rolla, and then Lock, Stock. I haven't seen King Arthur, and I know there's a few. Man from U.N.C.L.E. I haven't seen. There's a few I haven't seen. So, all right. We have Blow. I need to rewatch this. I don't really remember much of this movie. I've seen it once. I remember thinking I liked it, but I need to rewatch it. Joe Dirte. I still quote Joe Dirt a lot. Where he's like, "You need things to explode, go boom." Why is that good? Why is that good? Why are trees good? Why are boobs good? I grew up with this movie. I think we rented it a lot. I don't think we owned it, but I don't know. Joe Dirt was just funny to me, and the chick that plays his sister, not sister. I think it's is it Priscilla? No, it's not Priscilla. What's her name? I don't know if it's Brittany Daniel or if that's the other girl, the girl that Brandy that he gets with at the end. I don't remember, but Joe Dirt's just it's a classic to me from growing up in my era. So I think if you haven't seen Joe Dirt, give it a chance. It's not a great comedy, but it's just I don't know. It's my favorite movie with David Spade. I think it's the only one I own with him in it because I got rid of Tommy Boy probably in the last time that I did my collection. I rewatched Tommy Boy. I just didn't really find it all that funny, and it's kind of a shame because it's not. I used to laugh at Chris Farley on SNL when he would do the you got to have a lot of time to think about living in a van down by the river when you're living in a van down by the river. But yeah, I guess I don't really own any of his movies, so kind of sad. All right, The Mummy Returns. I just rewatched this, and by that I just mean I said this in the last video. I was watching the YouTube channel Popcorn in Bed, and they were going over The Mummy Returns, so I kind of just saw the clips of it again, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember all those scenes. The Mummy Returns is not as good as the first one, and that's mainly because Imhotep went from a scary villain to now he's kind of he's a villain, but he doesn't really do a whole lot of things that are really intimidating in this movie. And I don't remember exactly what the bad guys want. There's a cult of bad guys that's run by Anck-su-namun, or the reincarnation of Anck-su-namun, which is his love from 5,000 years ago, however long it was, 3,000 years ago. And yeah, so basically there's a cult that resurrects Imhotep, and then they want him to take on the Scorpion King to, I guess, gain control of his army, the army of Anubis. The only thing, I think this movie is just fine, and I enjoy the hell out of this movie just because it's nice to have the whole cast back. I don't know if this is the same guy, so let's look at who directed this. That's director of photography. Who directed this? Wow. This is awkward. I see director of photography. Oh, written and directed by Stephen Sommers. Who directed Mummy 1? Let's find out. Stephen Sommers. Okay, so directed by the same guy, and that's why they feel the same. I would take a guess and say Mummy 3 is not directed by the same man. But you still have all the charm, the chemistry between Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser still there. So, their reflection is really horrible. I don't know where that's coming from. Anyway, I'll deal with that later. I'm trying to make out. I guess that's just the reflection off my phone. Must be. That sounds really stupid, but so yeah, I like I said, I really enjoyed this one, and it's not a perfect movie. It's flawed, and what I was saying was the main thing I want them to redo is I wish they could redo the CGI of the Scorpion King for The Rock because he looks horrible. But aside from that, I think the movie's pretty good. The Mummy 3 I did not like. I saw that in theaters, and I was not a fan. I think I saw Mummy 1 in theaters, not Mummy 2, but Mummy 3. Yeah. Shrek 1. I've only seen the first two. I love the first two. If you guys think there's a Shrek movie I need to give a shot, I'll give it a shot, but I've only gotten into the first two. Shrek 1 I think is really funny. Lord Farquaad's funny. But if you pushed me, I would say I prefer Shrek 2. I think it's a little funnier. Fast and Furious 1. It's been a hot minute since I watched this, but I remember really liking it. It's kind of where it all started. I got into this late. I didn't watch this until I had already... I think I saw Fast 4 in theaters was the first one I saw, and I think that was the first Fast and Furious I really had seen. And then I watched Fast 5, and then I think I went back once I was in the military and started rewatching these. So yeah, I like Fast and Furious 1 if I remember correctly. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty solid. And I'll say this, it's nice to just go back to them being street racers. That I think they're also the group is also robbing. I think they rob stereos. They do robberies and all that kind of stuff, but just small time things. It's crazy where it's gone now, where they're making trips to outer space in cars or some crap. The score, I rewatched this recently with my buddy Jesse. I think the score is really, really solid. It's not a great film, but like I was talking about in my last video, that De Niro, like I like the movie Ronin, but I don't think he's perfect for that role of like an assassin or a hitman. I do think he's perfect. It kind of just, I don't know, works with his character from Heat, but like he's way better here as like a thief. It just makes a lot more sense. He's sly that way, but he doesn't come across as like, oh, I can gun down all these people the way like a hitman's supposed to. And yeah, Edward Norton's really solid as well. Marlon Brando has a part in here. Angela Bassett has a part in here. Really, really solid movie. I think if you haven't seen the score, give it a shot. I watched it on Amazon Prime for the first time a couple years ago. Jurassic Park 3. I think this movie gets way too much crap. I think it looks really good. I think there is some special effects here of the Velociraptors that looks great, and it is CGI. But then there's other ones where it is completely, animatronics. But Jurassic Park 3, I think, was the last one that was made with craftsmanship. This is directed by Joe Johnston. But I think Spielberg still produced this. But yeah, produced by Steven Spielberg. It's just nice to have Sam Neill back. It was nice to just go back there. I remember when this came out, I saw this in theaters. And I just had a great time with it. And the Spinosaurus was cool. And I remember that's the thing. They don't show it here in the logo, but for anyone that remembers, they changed the Jurassic Park logo back in the day in Jurassic Park 3. They changed it to a Spinosaurus, which I didn't love because I'm always a T-Rex guy. But yeah, this is, if you want to call this a guilty pleasure, I guess, but I still think the craftsmanship of this movie being made and like experiencing the dinosaurs again. Yes, it's an excuse to just get people on the island. So in that regard, it's a cash grab, but I still was compelled by this movie and I still enjoy it. All right, here's one that I rewatched recently, and it was nice to go back and watch it. Swordfish. Swordfish here. I'm trying to do this where I'm not getting the reflection, but it's hard. Swordfish. Hugh Jackman. This is really, in my opinion, his first movie that he had outside of X-Men, where it was like, hey, Hugh Jackman's becoming a thing. Halle Berry shows her tits in this, which is always great. This is my favorite John Travolta role. This is my favorite thing that he's ever been in. I love his... I don't even remember what the character's name is, so I apologize. But he's really good as the villain here. And misdirection, Stan. Don Cheadle. This and Rush Hour 2 are the only two movies I actually don't mind Don Cheadle in. Aside from that, normally anytime he pops up in a movie, I don't really care for him. I definitely don't like him as War Machine. I thought Terrence Howard was way better as Rhodey, but I get it. I think he wanted too much money, and Marvel's cheap like that. So, but yes, Swordfish is really solid. I wouldn't even call this a guilty pleasure. I actually think this is just a really solid movie. Some of the effects near the end are not great, like explosions or whatever. They don't look all that great, but they hoist a bus into the air with a helicopter. That's really cool. All right, so this is technically the Rush Hour trilogy, but the whole reason I purchased this a couple months back was because I love... Where's it at? I love Rush Hour 2, which is this one. I love Rush Hour 2, and I was like, oh, well, at this point, they're never going to just re-release the single Rush Hour 2. They were like, oh, we made the trilogy, and that's fine, and if people want it on Blu-ray, there you go. So I was tired of just looking at my Rush Hour 2 DVD, and I was like, yeah, I want to watch it on Blu-ray. So I bought this trilogy, and so I already own Rush Hour 1. It's right here. I pointed it out in the last video. And I don't like Rush Hour 3, although I probably would give it a rewatch now that I own it. But Rush Hour 2, I think, is just as funny as the first one, maybe a little bit funnier. And I think those are those two guys in their prime. And I love the setting of being in Hong Kong for a lot of it, then going to LA and then going to Vegas. I think Rush Hour 2, I think, is slightly funnier, but I think Rush Hour 1 is more serious and probably a slightly better movie. But they're both great, and I love them. And I wish we could get a Rush Hour 4. I really do. I would want one, even if you're, hey, these guys are way older. They're in their 60s now. I don't really care. All right, Training Day. I will admit I need to rewatch this, but I remember loving it when I first saw it, so that's on the rewatch list. I remember Denzel. That was probably his best performance I've ever seen. I don't remember. Did he win an Oscar for that? Captures his second Academy Award playing. Yeah, he did, and he deserved it. But once again, I need to rewatch it. Monsters, Inc. I grew up watching this one a lot, but I do need to rewatch it. So I won't speak a whole lot about it. I just do remember really liking the film. And it's just kind of a shame because I don't know. I'm too old really to get into like Pixar movies or just those kind of animated movies that come out now. Like I know a lot of people love Inside Out. I haven't watched it with my daughter, but that's probably going to be the only times I ever see these movies from now on. Is just watching with the kids. It's just part of getting older. You just don't really have a lot of interest for that. Outside of another Toy Story movie or an Incredibles, which I know they're coming out with a Toy Story 5, I believe, I'm probably not going to race to go watch like a Pixar film. The last Incredibles, Incredibles 2, was fine for me. And then Toy Story 4, I didn't care for. That did feel like a cash grab, which, you know, I know a lot of people love that movie, but to me, I didn't really feel anything with that. I thought Toy Story 3 was a perfect way to end it. Anyway, Harry Potter, this one says the Philosopher's Stone, but it's the Sorcerer's Stone in the US. So I was kind of like writing up the review yesterday talking about this movie on my Letterboxd account. And I just think that this film it's a nice start, and it's directed by Chris Columbus, the guy that did Home Alone and Home Alone 2. It's a nice start. It's a nice, like, I don't know what you want to say, like he landed the plane, like he did his job, but the special effects weren't where they needed to be, which that's not completely his fault, but the special effects weren't there. I also don't think Warner Brothers put the budget into this because they weren't sure if it was going to be a hit. The cast is perfect, no fault there. It's nice to see Richard Harris playing the character Dumbledore because he was great in that role. And yeah, the plot's just a little simple, and I said this in my review. These kids in this first movie, they're kind of just reading the lines and they're just having like, you know, really enthusiastic like expressions and their faces and their line readings. From the second movie on, I feel like that's when you can really call them actors. In this first one, they're way too young to really be able to deliver anything. But you know, this is kind of the cool thing with the Harry Potter franchise is you actually got to grow up with these actors and these characters. So it builds like an endearment for you of these guys where you root for them and you if anything happens to them you feel something. So yeah, but really nice start. I just would say this is probably the weakest. This is probably my second least favorite Harry Potter film. I don't know. It's tough. We'll get into that. Maybe third worst, but that's still not a bad thing. The Harry Potter movies, in my opinion, are all at least 7s out of 10 or more. So I know my ratings are going all over the place. I said out of 10 before I said out of 5, and then I have my old school rankings that I would use. Okay, underrated movie that I really like, and I did rewatch this recently because I got my buddy Jesse into it. Spy Game. If you haven't seen Spy Game, it's Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Go watch it. It's really underrated and really good. I remember my mom had this on DVD for some reason. She wasn't like a DVD collector. She just randomly picked it up somewhere. And I was like, sure. I was like, I'll give this a shot. And I really liked it. The soundtrack is really good in this. This is Tony Scott. So Tony Scott, I believe, is the same guy that did Deja Vu, did Taking Up Pelham 1, 2, 3. I think he did Top Gun as well. But I really just, yeah. So Brad Pitt basically plays a former CIA operative that gets captured. He gets captured at the very beginning of the movie in like a Chinese prison. And Robert Redford is like a guy that's a former CIA, like not director, but just he was in charge of a team, a trainer almost. He recruited Brad Pitt out of, I don't know if he was in the Marines or the Navy. I don't remember which one. But he recruited him, and then he basically, they've since parted ways. Like they're not working together anymore. And like years later, like 10 or 15 years since they split, he has to get him out of his situation. And it's just a really cool, most of the movie is shown in flashbacks while at the same time in the present, Robert Redford is being grilled about what he knows about Brad Pitt's character. And it's really good storytelling. I don't think this movie gets enough credit for its storytelling. Stephen Delane is in this. There's a few other actors that you would recognize that are in this movie, just older actors that the guy that plays like the Gladiator announcer from Gladiator, that's like, you'll get your contract canceled. That guy passed away, I think, soon after this movie, but he's in this movie as well. There's like I said, a lot of good cast in this. Not another teen movie. I don't know if I had this the last time, but I think my buddy Thomas convinced me to pick this up. This was on TV a lot. I think it was on Spike and some other things back in the day, maybe VH1, MTV. But this is a guilty pleasure. It's not a great movie. I think this is only 89 minutes long, so an hour and a half. It's just a raunchy comedy. To me, this is the perfect spoof comedy. Like, if you want spoof comedies. I've been watching the Scary Movie, the first 3, recently, and I just wasn't laughing like I wanted to. I want one more to go. I got to watch Scary Movie 4, and I remember seeing it in a drive-in theater. So maybe I'll enjoy that one on a rewatch. But yeah, not another teen movie. I mean, there's so many lines that I love. I love when Chris Evans is talking to the main girl, and he's like, or he's talking to the best friend that wants to get with Janie, and he's like, yeah, but I'm the best friend that she's never really looked at, but I've been always been there for her. And he goes, yeah, that's a good one. He's like, but I'm the troublesome jock bad guy that's learned the error of his ways or whatever. And he's like, damn, that's good. Yeah, this movie's great. The sister is really raunchy, and don't watch this around your family because you don't want to deal with that awkwardness. But my favorite part of the whole movie is when they're starting out and they're in like a diner and they're doing like the musical part, and the one guy's like, "True love is what I want the most," and the chef behind the counter's like, "I just jerked off and your French toast." Really funny stuff. Like I said, just a guilty pleasure movie. Nothing great, but really good. Here's a great movie. 5 out of 5. Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. I had my buddy Jesse go and rewatch, or he had never really seen the Lord of the Rings movies, so we watched them. He's really not that big of a fan, and I think that's a shame because I think these movies are literally movie making at its finest. My favorite one is probably The Two Towers. That's mainly just because I love the Helm's Deep stuff and I love the breaking of the Fellowship. But this, you could just say the Fellowship's maybe the best. I think Return of the King is my least favorite, but by least favorite, it's still a great movie. Orange County, really underrated. This finally got released on Blu-ray a couple years back, and I was really happy because this is one that I was like, they'll probably never do a Blu-ray for this, and I'm happy they did because Colin Hanks, this is my favorite role he's ever been in. He's also in Saving Private Ryan, pretty good. And Jack Black, this is my second favorite Jack Black role, first being School of Rock, but I think this one as his brother is really underrated. I used to watch this with my brother. I think this used to come on VH1 back in the day because I think this was kind of like a VH1 original. And yeah, it's really solid as a comedy. I do need to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. What does he say? He's like, I thought you said it was electrical fire. He's like, yeah, it was. The whole thing goes, I told her, she said, I'm burning this mother down. I said, you better not. You better not. Ben Stiller plays a fireman in the movie. Really good. Super Troopers, classic comedy. I do need to rewatch this. I grew up watching this a lot, so I'm very familiar with it. But it's just been a couple years. I need to go back and rewatch it. So Super Troopers is classic. I showed my dad this years ago, and he did not really laugh or find it funny. And I was like, what the heck's wrong with you? But yeah, Super Troopers is great. Back in the day, I'd probably put this in my top 5 comedies. I don't know where it ranks now. It may be in there. It may not. I don't know. We'll see. That should be something I should do. I should try to make a list. I know Dumb and Dumber's in my top 5 because that's the one I probably quote the most. Excuse me. All right, moving on. We got Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, James Franco, William Dafoe, Kirsten Dunst. Spider-Man 1 is great. It's not my favorite of the 3, but Spider-Man 1 is up there. And if I was ranking all the Spider-Man films, I don't remember exactly where I ranked this. I'd probably have it like 4th, but we'll get to that later. But Green Goblin's a great villain. And look, there's some campiness and cheesiness to the Spider-Man, but I think it works because Sam Raimi made what I think comic movies lack now is like there is a focus on we want to make this like the comic book. I think nowadays they just want to make it like Guardians of the Galaxy where it's all just stupid humor and no one takes anything seriously. And it's just kind of nice to have this. But Tobey Maguire does a really good job of being like just a relatable Peter Parker, which I don't think any of the other Peter Parkers have matched, unfortunately. Next we have Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I saw this in theaters when Yoda pulled out his lightsaber. That was like one of the coolest things ever. I think this movie is underrated because people just think it is like it's really bad. It's really not bad. Obi-Wan's story of who he's following and what he's after is really good. It's just some of the dialogue with Anakin and Padme is not the greatest. But the cinematography looks really great. The special effects look great. And let's be honest, you're not here for the love story. You're here for the lightsabers and the fighting and the lore and the politics. And people that act like, oh, I don't want politics in my Star Wars movies. I'm like, well, I don't think you understood what the movies are about because they are a lot about politics. I mean, it's about the rise to power that Palpatine had. That's like literally the story of the prequels is his rise to power. Every little thing that had to go right or every little thing he manipulated. Insomnia, I think this is Christopher Nolan's most underrated movie. I didn't watch this until a couple of years back, and I was blown away by it. I rewatched it recently. I think maybe I had it a little high, before. I think I did like a Christopher Nolan rankings that I was telling somebody about, and I was like, I think I had Insomnia, maybe a bit too high, but it's really good. If you haven't seen Insomnia, go watch it. But yeah, Robin Williams, this is one of my favorite performances he's ever done. He's really good as a villain in this movie. All right. Bourne Identity. I will admit that I haven't watched the Bourne movies since like I was probably still in high school. I need to rewatch them. I remember loving them. I think I like the second one the most, but this one is still good. I need to go back and watch these. Directed by, I'm trying to remember who, Doug Liman. Yeah. All right. Minority Report. This is one I've talked about that I didn't get to this. This was another Amazon Prime movie. I finally watched it on Amazon Prime a couple years back, and I thought it was great. And I was like, once, kind of like The Godfather in the sense of people had told me how good this movie was, and I was like, surely it's not going to be that good. Surely I'll be disappointed. And it lived up to the expectations, so that was awesome. It's kind of cool seeing Spielberg do like a true sci-fi, like futuristic movie. I think Minority Report's also based off a book, I believe, which is why it's got enough substance. Mr. Deeds, grew up watching this one, haven't watched it in a while. I need to go back and rewatch it, but not my favorite Adam Sandler movie. Off the top of my head, if I was ranking them, I'd probably say Big Daddy's my favorite, then Happy Gilmore, then Mr. Deeds, then I'd say Billy Madison, and then after that, I don't really care. But I know a lot of people talk about like Adam Sandler's last really good comedy. To me, Mr. Deeds was his last good one. All right, Men in Black 2. I will admit that the main reason I own this is because I like these characters and I like being back in this world. It's not a great movie, but and I need to rewatch it. And maybe if I watched it again and I really hated it, I might get rid of it. Who knows? Because I don't like having movies just to complete a series. As you know, I said the only time I really have done that is with James Bond. Road to Perdition. This also might be a top 10 movie for me. I need to make a list. I really do. But Road to Perdition's up there for me. Paul Newman is great. I started watching this movie around the time. I think I picked this up on DVD, or we had it on DVD pretty early on. So I would say I started watching this from like age 13 on. I remember we rented it, and I think my mom was hoping for, I don't know why, but I think she was hoping for like a romance movie, and that's not what this is. Jude Law is like my only, like, he does a good job, but I kind of wish they would have cast somebody else to play this part, but that's okay. But Tom Hanks, we talk about like, what's your favorite Tom Hanks role? I think this is my favorite Tom Hanks role. I prefer him in Road to Perdition because instead of like a cute and cuddly Tom Hanks that's always like, disarming, I like this one because this one reminded me the most of my dad, I believe. Not that my dad was ever like a hitman for the mob or something like that, but just, I don't know. I like the seriousness, the relationship that, the kids have with their dad. I can kind of relate to a lot. All right. Reign of Fire. Reign of Fire, this is a guilty pleasure for me. It's not a great movie. Christian Bale, Matthew McConaughey, and Gerard Butler is also in this movie. As well as, and I don't remember her name, I'd have to look it up, Isabella Scorupco. She's the Russian chick. I mean, I don't know if she's actually Russian, but she played the Russian Bond girl in GoldenEye. She was Natalia. But Reign of Fire, like I said, I love the lore. I love the fact of, hey, what wiped out the dinosaurs? It wasn't an ice age. It wasn't whatever. It was dragons that did it. I thought that was really cool. That pretty much had me hooked from the get-go. And yeah, I think this is good enough. Not a great film, but I think it's good enough to own. Like I said, I rewatched it not too long ago. It's just nice to kind of go back to every now and again. That's all I would say. Austin Powers and Goldmember. I kind of wish we got another Austin Powers. I know, it's probably aged and now he's too old, but I would still just kind of like it. Goldmember has the best production value, so in that regard, it might be the best. I don't know. I need to go back and rewatch them. Goldmember is the one that I've seen the most. My dad used to rent this like all the time back in the day. We just watched Goldmember and quote it. Fat bastard, really funny. Shiitake mushrooms. 8 Mile. I used to be such a huge Eminem fan, and it's not that I don't like him anymore. It's just that it's hard for me to really relate to the rap lyrics because it's like I'm not in my teens and I'm not angsty and mad at the world anymore. So, and I think he understands that. But yeah, this movie still does a good job of just playing like, I don't know, it's just a nice character story of Rabbit, which is basically Eminem's life growing up. So, and just his struggle to kind of win rap battles and be known as somebody. I still think it's worth watching and worth owning. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is the first Harry Potter movie that I ever saw. My mom bought this on VHS at Dollar General, and I watched this, and I really liked it. So this one will probably always hold a special place for me. I don't think it's my favorite, but it might be my second favorite. I like the whole lore or the intrigue of who opened the chamber and who's the heir to Slytherin and all this other kind of stuff. Think it's really cool. But it's the last one that Columbus did. I don't believe he came back and directed any of the other ones. And there was a structure to what he did, like all the set pieces looked very crisp and very polished, and the camera work was very focused. And then as like we moved along, colors started being a little bit more muted and grayed and not as distinct, and I think that was a misstep. Don't get me wrong, I think a new director was needed to like push into a darker, because as the Harry Potter characters get older and the books go along, you get darker and darker stories. But I think the camera work that he had, I think they should have probably got his cinematographer. 007 Die Another Day. I don't even apologize for this movie. It's not perfect, but I don't care. I'd rather watch this Pierce Brosnan Bond film than a lot of the other Bond films. I think this movie slept on. The POW stuff at the very beginning of the movie, like into the credits of him being tortured in prison in a North Korean camp, I think is really good stuff. And the only real, Halle Berry I don't think works all that well in this movie, I'll admit that. I think they should have cast somebody else to play that. But Gustav Graves is, you're meant to dislike him, and you do. But that's really the only thing. He's just, he's meant to be snobby or arrogant, and you're meant to like want to punch him in the face. But my favorite part of the movie is when Gustav Graves comes into his little greenhouse, his little office area, or whatever, and like Pierce Brosnan like spins around the spin chair and reveals himself, and he's like, "So you live to die another day." Great line. Drumline. I grew up watching this a lot on, like I said, VH1 or MTV, or maybe it was also on BET. I haven't watched this in forever. I want to go back and rewatch it, but I remember liking it. It just was, I don't know. I was in band, and it's not even like a relate to band thing. I just thought the story was interesting, and I like stories where you're showing me something that I don't often get to see, and seeing like in the South in Georgia, like drum lines and marching bands in like the black communities and the black schools. I think it's just, I don't know. It's a cool story to tell that we don't normally get to see. And Nick Cannon, who I'm not a big Nick Cannon fan, but I actually think he did a really good job acting in that movie. Lord of the Rings to Two Towers, like I said, I think this one's my favorite of the three. It's mainly about Saruman and the Uruk-hai and taking over Helm's Deep and the Rohirrim and all that. So, and I like the strain that all these three groups are on. The Hobbits, then you have Merry and Pippin, and then you have the three Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, the trio, and obviously Gandalf dealing with that. So, great movie. And the climax at Helm's Deep, I just remember the music and going all that. The Two Towers was also the first one I saw in theaters. I did not see Fellowship in theaters. My brother went and saw it, and then we got the VHS, and he was like, "You need to watch Lord of the Rings," and I was like, "This is great." And then we were like, "When's the next one come out?" And it was a year from now. I still remember the release dates. Fellowship of the Ring was December 19, 2001. Two Towers was December 18, 2002, and Return of the King was December 17, 2003. Old School, one of my favorite comedies. This is probably my top 5 comedies. I just love this. I don't remember if I watched this. I think I watched this on cable once and really liked it. And then when I bought it on DVD and watched it, I was like, "Oh, I've seen this before." But it felt like I was once again grabbing some buried treasure, like rediscovering something that was great. It's a great comedy. Vince Vaughn. There's so many things you can quote from that. It's one of the underrated ones is when the one guy's like, "Hey, we go to school here," and he's like, "Okay, like you think you're like I'm entitled to get you into the fraternity?" No. Holes. So 5th grade. So this was 2003. May of 5th grade, or April of 5th grade, this movie was coming out in theaters, and we were reading the books. And I guess we got lucky. But our big homework assignment was a field trip to go watch the movie in theaters, and that was really cool. So I'll always have a fondness for this. I need to rewatch it again. I remember liking it, but I need to go back to it. It might not age the way that I hope it does, but all right, let's go on. X2, X-Men United. This was my favorite X-Men movie for a long time, because obviously we just had the original 3 for a while. I think this one is great, and maybe it's got a little cheesiness or corniness, but there's a lot the picture is so much clearer and better in this movie, and this is only 3 years from when the first X-Men came out. But a lot of things got upgraded and look better here. The plot, I think, is a little bit more interesting and more gritty and dark. And yeah, getting Nightcrawler, that's the thing. You get some mutants that you didn't have before. You get Pyro in this one. He wasn't in the first one. Yeah, I don't know. The only knock I can give on these first three X-Men movies, and my buddy Jesse, he's a huge Cyclops fan, so he brings it up, is that they really don't give Cyclops any justice, and they definitely don't do it in this movie, because he basically is sidelined throughout the whole movie, which is a bummer. Alright. Matrix Reloaded. People crap on this movie. I don't understand why. To me, this is just on par with the first one. It's right up there. Because what people don't understand is the action sequences that are in this movie are probably, in my opinion, some of the best of all time. They literally built a highway to do the highway scene. They built their own highway. And Reloaded has that chase scene on the highway, and then on top of that, it also has the fight scene with the Merovingian and like his people. That's all within the first 45 minutes to an hour of this movie, and it's great. But all of that feels like the beginning, which is such a cool way. There's something cool about this movie where I always view this like a lot of movies. You feel like, okay, you can break it up into thirds. The awesome action is all happening at the 45-minute mark, 30 to 45-minute mark, which normally that's not the case. Normally you get you might start the movie with an action sequences, but the action is not going to be till middle to later on the film. This one does it a lot. Right as a normal story is trying to build, this one's great action scene, let's do it. So I think this movie gets way too much crap. I think it's a great film. I don't know exactly where I would rate it. I mean, it's not going to be in my top 10 movies of all time, but I think people way too hard on Matrix Reloaded. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. This would probably be my top 10 movies of all time. I remember I would skip school because of this movie. When I got this on DVD, which I think I got it for Christmas of 2005, I believe is when I got this, or maybe it was my birthday. It might have been my birthday of 2006, a couple months before Dead Man's Chest was going to come out. It's I was a little late on this. This came out in 2003, and I believe I watched this in theaters with my buddy Brendan. But I remember he also had this on DVD, and I remember watching it with him. But yeah, a couple years later, I just was hooked to this, and I was like, all I want to do is just watch Pirates of the Caribbean. So I would love to make movies like this. It's sad that they don't anymore, but I really think there is a market for that. You have to have good production quality and value. Get a good cast, and shoot a lot of it as real as you can, and make a compelling story. And they want to CGI everything, which is a mistake. As soon as I see something that's not real, it almost immediately takes me out of it, and I lose interest. So I don't know when they'll understand that. It seems like movie studios are just never learning. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, this is a guilty pleasure for me, I won't lie. It's not a great movie, but I just enjoy it. It's the last Sean Connery movie that I own. I think this is the last movie he made, really. But I don't know. It's solid to me. I grew up reading about all these characters in the Great Illustrated Classics book, so it's just kind of cool to see them all in one movie. Once again, it's not great, but it's good enough for me. Guilty pleasure. School of Rock, Jack Black's best movie. I can go back and rewatch this. I think I did watch this recently, but I'll rewatch it again. It's the only movie of its kind that I would own like this. I normally would never own a feel-good movie with a bunch of kids in it that is about, a teacher trying to connect with these kids. I normally would never own that, but I like the way this movie does it because it's not trying to be super cheesy and overly dramatic. So, and you can tell Jack Black and then the people that made this movie have a real passion for rock and metal and just music in general. And as someone that got into metal later on in my life, I got into metal in my early 20s. When I was a teenager growing up, I liked classic rock, but I wasn't really a metal fan. And I got into metal later, but this is more of a love letter to classic rock, I would say. Kill Bill Volume 1. I didn't get into this until 2015. I love the first one. I mean, I so many things I connected to in this movie. I wouldn't say dealing with a breakup. I was dealing with there was closure that I didn't have from a past relationship. And when I say, they talk about revenge in this movie, I didn't want revenge as in I wanted something bad to happen to the former girl, but I wanted to guess I just prove myself or just be hey, you missed out on me. But I really loved the line where her master is talking to her while she gets on a plane to go back. I think she leaves Japan to go back to the States, I believe, and he's telling her revenge is not like a clear pathway. Revenge is like a dark forest that you have to try to navigate through. It's not a clear path. There's just so many awesome things from this movie. Unfortunately, I think Quentin put everything great into this first film, and the second one, it just feels like it can't compare. But that action sequence at the end of this first movie is amazing. It's one of the best set pieces I think I've ever seen. Matrix Revolutions. So this is a foreign Blu-ray that I believe I got from the UK, and the Blu-ray works. So that's what was bothering me, is you could find Matrix combo packs that were like, here's the Blu-ray of Reloaded and Revolutions. Like, well, I already have Reloaded. It's just a bummer they never did an individual Revolutions Blu-ray. They did do a 4K, and I thought about that, but I was like, I want my stuff to be uniform. So I do have the Blu-ray. Happy that I got it. I don't love this movie the way that I love like Reloaded and the first Matrix, but I think people also were too harsh on this one. I think this is a solid third part in the series. By the way, I have not seen the fourth one. What is it called? Matrix. I don't even remember what they called the last one. I heard it wasn't good. I heard it was horrible. I did not like that they didn't bring back Lawrence Fishburne, so I was kind of already off the bandwagon. But maybe I'll give that a shot at some point, but I doubt it. But anyway, Matrix Revolutions. It's a good enough conclusion to the trilogy, but I think this could have been better, and I think they know that, the directors. All right, on to the next one. These are packed in here tight, so sorry. Okay, we got a top 5 movie for me. I don't exactly know where it ranks. Master and Commander. This is my favorite Russell Crowe movie. I even prefer this over Gladiator. I know some people think that's blasphemy. I also know a lot of people that don't really understand what's to love about this, but I absolutely love this film. My brother had it on DVD, and then I finally just was like, I'm going to pop this in and watch it, and I loved it. And I think my cousins talked about that they fell asleep into the theater of this movie, and I'm like, well, I guess if you saw it in theater. I mean, I was 11 when this movie came out, but it's just a shame they don't make anything of this. We got this and Pirates of the Caribbean in the same year, which, like, that will never happen again, where you get 2 epics on the high seas with like older ships. But Russell Crowe's amazing as Jack Aubrey here. Paul Bettany's great as the doctor that's his friend. And this is not like some super action-packed movie. It does have action sequences, but they're mainly the beginning and the end. And the middle part of the movie is all just you getting to know these people, the trials and just problems that you would go through if you were on the crew in this time. And like I think this was like 1813, I believe, is when this takes place. It's a great movie, directed by Peter Weir. It's a great movie, and it's a shame that this movie did not get the love that I wanted a sequel for this movie for so bad. And there's a part of me that still wants it, but I doubt it will ever happen. The Last Samurai. My buddy Thomas tried to get me to watch this years back, and I fell asleep because when I'm tired, I'm tired. So it just is what it is. But I finally got around to rewatching this a couple years back, and I remember I was like, this is really damn good. But I do need to go back and rewatch it again because, once again, how I've said before in the last video, some of these are just not ingrained into my brain the way I would want. So I want to be able to watch this movie and be like, I kind of have the movie memorized at this point. But it's really good. It's not original in the sense of people talk about, like, Fern Gully or Dances with Wolves. It is like Dances with Wolves, but with samurai swords. But it still works. It still works. It's made well. Craftsmanship's up there. Directed by Edward Zwick. Edward Zwick, he did another movie. I'd have to look up his filmography, but I was just looking because I always get Edward Zwick and Robert Zemeckis mixed up. But I'll look up Edward Zwick's filmography another time. All right, these are about to like pop out of here. We got Return of the King. Like I said, great conclusion to the trilogy. A lot of people have this one as the best one of the 3. It's having to deal with the most stuff and wrapping everything up correctly. But like I said, Two Towers is my favorite because this movie does have a lot of like I'm not even joking. When the Battle of the Pelennor Fields ends, I think you're halfway through the movie, which is kind of weird. But you would think like, hey, we're almost near the end, but you're really not. Jeez, what happened here? Oh, that fell out. Okay, one second. Uno momento. Thanks for being patient, y'all. Okay. Next one up is Hellboy. I remember this was on FX like all the time, and I finally just was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this. I really enjoy this. It's like a dark comic book story, but I think this first one I think is really solid and really good. Don't get me wrong. The imagery I don't recommend. It's rated PG-13, I believe. Has to be. Where's it at? Oh, it says. Oh, this is unrated Blu-ray. Um, I don't recommend if you're a parent watching this. I don't recommend your kids watching this until they're probably at least like 12 to 13 years old because there is some blood and some weird looking stuff because this is Guillermo del Toro. So, and I haven't seen really any of his other movies. Unfortunately, I've never seen Pan's Labyrinth and some of the other things he's made. So I do want to watch that at some point. But he was a pretty good choice for Hellboy, and I've heard nothing but bad things about the newer versions of Hellboy. So, Kill Bill Volume 2, like I said, not as good as the first one, but still a solid movie. And, you know, I just wish Quentin could have fit everything into one big movie, but I kind of get it. He wanted to split it up. And the movie does end on a high note on Kill Bill Volume 1, or I'd say an intriguing note where you're like, oh, crap, what does that mean? Mean Girls, I need to rewatch this, but this was on TV back in the day, probably on VH1 or MTV or something. And I remember thinking it was actually funny, even though it was a chick flick. And Lindsay Lohan, I mean, I don't know. I mean, her in this movie, she was one of the hottest girls I'd ever seen. So, but yeah, I think this movie still holds up, but I need to rewatch it. But don't get me wrong. It's the first like Blu-ray case that grabs your attention when you're like looking at my shelf. You're like, oh, you have a pink Blu-ray. I wish they would do this more, to be honest. I think it's a bummer when they always just do the Blu-ray cases of just blue. I think they should constantly be like, hey, this movie has a single color that kind of ties it all together. Let's make the Blu-ray that color. So, like for instance, Kill Bill I think should be a yellow Blu-ray, but that's just me. Shrek 2, like I said, I enjoy Shrek 2 more than Shrek 1, but they're both great. Like I said, I haven't seen the other ones, 3, 4. I don't even know if they've done a 5th. I haven't seen the Puss in Boots movie. So if those are good, feel free to comment below and tell me to watch them. And that's the thing. If you notice a movie that I don't have in these, please like say it. And a lot of times I'll either have seen it and be like, yeah, it just didn't click for me. But if it's a movie that you're like, hey, I highly recommend this and you don't have it, put it in the comments. I'm not saying that just because I want comments. I'm not making any money from this channel yet. It's not that. I legitimately just want to watch good movies on good people's recommendation. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is the first one I think I watched on TV. Back in the day when there was an ABC Family, because I don't even think they exist anymore. ABC Family had the rights to the Harry Potter movies, so this is where you would watch it. And yeah, I watched Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban. I really liked it. And yeah, this is kind of like I'd seen Chamber of Secrets, then I watched this one, and then I was like, I think they had made. I don't think Order of the Phoenix had come out yet, or if it had just come out. But this one, I think, yeah, the only ones I needed to catch up on were like Goblet of Fire, and then obviously the first one. So, yeah, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Great job. I just think that this one doesn't have like a main villain, so that's the downside of it. But the good side is that you have Professor Lupin. He's a great new character that gets introduced, and that's always the cool thing about Harry Potter, that every year like a new character is getting introduced that you kind of grow attachment to, and kind of just builds the roster of the characters that you like. Dodgeball. I need to rewatch this, but I would say this would be probably definitely my top 10 comedies, maybe my top 5. I need to rewatch this. What's the matter, White? Did Nazi Arts and Crafts get out early today? Yes, it did. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. White, how do you know where I live? It's called the Freedom of Information Act, Kate. The hippies finally got something right. What else does Vince Vaughn say in that movie where the girl's like, is this it, or is this all you want to do with your life or something? He goes, she's like, don't you have any goals? He's like, I find, he's like, that if you never have any goals, you're never disappointed. I can relate to that. Spider-Man 2, this is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I think Doc Ock is a great villain, and Sam Raimi takes the trials and tribulations of Peter Parker and Spider-Man to like a whole nother level. And at one point, you know, he basically quits being Spider-Man, but then he comes back. And then the scene where he saves Mary Jane near the end, and like they have a heart-to-heart, and he's got his mask off. That's true, like comic book superhero, like that's movie making. That's stuff that will endure forever in cinema, in my opinion. So great stuff. Anchorman: Legend of Ron Burgundy. When this movie came out, it was like the only thing kids at school would reference, and I was one of them. Don't get me wrong. Brick killed a guy, but I don't think it's aged as well because it's not as funny as some other ones. It's still really damn funny, but I think the main thing is Will Ferrell can get on your nerves after a while as just playing the character of Ron Burgundy, but it's really good. And it's a shame what's happening to Christina Applegate's health because She is an absolute dime piece in this movie. I mean, she's just so beautiful. And it's nice that she got this movie, but yeah, she is kind of out there with her politics. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Bourne Supremacy, like I said, I need to rewatch the Bourne movies, but I remember liking this one the most. I think these are all... Oh, no, this is Paul Greengrass that directed this, as opposed to the first guy was Doug I don't remember his name. Collateral, I have rewatched this recently. Collateral is still really good. This is like probably one of my favorite Tom Cruise performances. Just playing the bad guy is really good, and it is really haunting if this dude was coming at you at night with his silver hair. He's almost like not a demon, but just like a spirit that's like, I don't know, it's ominous that if you see him, you're dead. I believe that's Michael Mann as well that directed that. Napoleon Dynamite. My buddy Thomas apparently hates this movie. It has stuff that I laugh with it, and I remember the first time I ever saw this was at my church. They were showing, I think they were showing the Bourne movie as well. So this was back in 2004. Yeah, I was 12 years old, maybe 13 by the time this came out. But they were just showing these movies, and vote for Pedro. Yeah, my favorite line in this is when they do the Rex Kwon Do. He's like, bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei! Sign up right now for my 8-week program. Think people think I'm a failure because I go home to Starlight Night? I think it's underrated, and I think it was like kind of a cult movie, and then now people think it's cool to hate on it. I think it's fine. I'm still gonna own it. I don't think it's a great comedy, but it's good. And Uncle Rico, you wouldn't get the Uncle Rico memes without this movie. The Incredibles was like my favorite Pixar movie. I mean, it's still, actually, I probably still prefer this over Toy Story, and that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I think the first Incredibles movie's fantastic. The second one didn't quite live up to what I wanted it to, but still really good. This paper is coming out of here. I want to try to fix that later. Anyway, yeah, Incredibles, great. It's just, like I said, it's a shame the second one didn't quite live up, but it's still really solid. I was obsessed with like the Incredibles universe. I thought they were going to just make a zillion movies, but they didn't. National Treasure. At one point, this would have been in like my top 10 movies. I need to rewatch this because it's been a while since I've watched the first two. It's been a while since I've watched them, so I need to go back. But similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, when I got this on DVD finally, this is one of the first additions to my collection, I loved it. I watched it like nonstop. So once again, I need to rewatch it. Constantine, solid movie that gets way too much hate. Rachel Weisz is hot as hell in this movie. Yeah, I just think it's a cool story. Cool lore, all that. Worth a watch. Shia LaBeouf's in here, but he's not doing a whole lot. It's like right before Shia LaBeouf's career really took off. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I just watched this in theaters when it came back in theaters on the re-release. Still great. Still holds up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't think it's a perfect score because, yes, there's still some of the acting and dialogue is a bit wooden. But for the most part, this is what... George Lucas got it right with... Episode 3 showed people that he's like, hey, I was onto something with these prequel movies, and this is what I was trying to get to. It's just the first two, you don't have the level of stakes or darkness or grittiness that you get by Episode 3. Episode 3 is when stuff is really happening. Cinderella Man, I need to rewatch it. My buddy Thomas had me watch it once, and I feel like I fell asleep, but I normally love boxing movies, and I love Russell Crowe. I don't know. We'll see. That may not stay on the shelf for very much longer once I watch it. Batman Begins, this would have been in my top 10. It may still be. I don't know. But this was another one that when I saw this for the first time... Okay, so here's the thing, kids. Back in the day, if you were trying to watch a movie that you hadn't seen before and you couldn't find anywhere, you went to the internet, and normally you would find like Chinese websites that would show like movies, and it would have like subtitles. But that was the only way you could really watch it. The picture quality wasn't that great, and you'd have buffering issues and all that. But I watched Batman Begins, and I was like, I can't wait for The Dark Knight. This slipped through the cracks for me. I mean, I guess when Batman Begins was coming out, I don't know, maybe my mom was like, that looks too dark for my 13-year-old son. So I don't know. I don't even remember really trailers for this movie coming out, unfortunately. But when I finally saw it, I fell in love with it. This movie got me motivated to want to do something with my life and like join the military. So it's a great film. I need to rewatch them again, like back to back, this and The Dark Knight, to decide which one I like more. But like I said, Batman Begins at one point would have been like my favorite movie or top 5. I don't know. I'd have to go back and reassess. But I love just the origin of like what drives Batman, what makes him, what gets Bruce Wayne. Okay, cool. That's great that happened, and you guys caught all that. I have to check and make sure what got lost over here. I believe that was it. I don't believe any of these other ones were ones that I haven't reviewed yet. Oh, great. I got these just ripping and falling apart, apparently. All right. I don't remember which one was next. I think it was this one. 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think this is funny. I don't think it's as funny as a lot of other people think. It's good, and this is probably the only Steve Carell movie besides Anchorman that I really enjoy. I haven't seen all of his stuff, but I don't find him to be a great or really comedic actor. I don't know. I feel like the people that like him, it's just, I don't know, from a world that I don't really understand. Waiting, I was really late with this one. Waiting, I think, is a really, really funny movie. I've worked in the food industry before. My first job was Sonic, so I could kind of relate to what they talk about with like customers that are being, just obnoxious or ridiculous with demands. And yeah, I don't know. I really like the movie, and Ryan Reynolds is one of the only few roles that I actually like him in. He plays the perfect guy that like never did anything with his life, that just still works at a sit down place. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I need to rewatch this. I remember really liking it. I love Downey's and Val Kilmer's chemistry in this movie, and like I said, I need to rewatch it. Shane Black, I believe, wrote and directed that one. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Some people, this is their favorite. I think it's really good, but it's not my favorite. It's just not as compelling because it's like, it feels to me like the Goblet of Fire is like a huge detour instead of like these characters really growing and progressing. It's like, oh, we got to focus on the cup, the tournament, whatever. Wedding Crashers. This also would have been in my top 5 or 10 comedies. I do need to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. All right. That's it for that row, and then we will attempt to move on. It really ticks me off how my shelf that I'm normally pretty happy with this shelf. I got it off. I replaced the old one that I had, and I really like this one. But yeah, I don't know why that's happening. I don't know why those would be coming out. They're not supposed to. V for Vendetta. This is another one that I think I watched on a Chinese website, or maybe I saw on FX. But this was one that for a while, this was one of my favorite movies. I was like, wow, this was so powerful. It resonated with me. I think I rewatched it and it didn't have that same impact on me like it did, but I think it's still really damn good. It's just, it's weird to me because if you look at the politics of that movie, the oppressive side was the super conservatives, and like that was viewed as like, hey, they're a threat to like all of your liberty. And maybe in 2006 that felt like the case. Now I feel like it's the complete opposite, where it's the super liberals are the ones that are wanting super control and to dictate what you can say and what you do, and blah blah blah. So that's just kind of funny to me. Not to get too political, if you disagree with me, hopefully you still watch this movie, or watch these videos. Mission Impossible 3. I think this is a really underrated Mission Impossible movie. This is J.J. Abrams, and it's probably one of the only J.J. Abrams movies that I like. I'm not really a big fan of him as a director, but I thought he was fine here. I think this movie's a little too slick for its own good, though. Like, I think J.J. gets in love with like his shots that he can do, and like he needs to be a little bit more focused on just story. But this one's good. Philip Seymour Hoffman does a great villain. I just wish... One thing I don't like about this is the ending. I don't like that you don't see actually the rabbit's foot. You don't really even know what it is. I know there's an intrigue there, but like I think the ending could have been better. But that's basically it. I still really like the movie. All right. X-Men 3: The Last Stand. I remember when this was coming out in theaters, and it was a huge deal. I didn't get to catch it in theaters. I mean, I was 14. I didn't have the wheels yet, and I couldn't make that kind of a decision. But I think this movie is really overhated. I think this is solid. This is Brett Ratner, who did the Rush Hour movies. I think this movie's good. I like it better than X-Men 1 just because it's more stuff. It's updated. But it's a little fast and quick and reckless with some of the things that it does. But yeah, I don't think it's as good as X2, but I think it's better than the first X-Men. And yeah, seeing Beast in here is really cool. Angel, some of the other characters, it's just nice. And the camera work is a little bit better in here. Like, I think Brett Ratner... I think Bryan Singer, who directed the first 2 X-Men, and then he did X-Men Days of Future Past as well, and I think maybe X-Men Apocalypse. I think he's a better director, but I think Brett Ratner, we just had, technology had gotten better. I think that movie just looks crisper in that than it does in at least the first X-Men movie. X-Men 2 still looks pretty good. All right. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. This was one of the first movies that I remember. Oh, geez, what happened to this Blu-ray case? These are all breaking for some reason. I don't really get how. I guess because they're falling. I don't know. But Dead Man's Chest was the first Pirates movie that I was losing my crap. Like, aside from a Star Wars movie, this is the first one I remember where me and my cousins, we were like, we can't wait for this movie to come out because we just quoted Pirates of the Caribbean nonstop. And this movie was amazing for us. And it's just a shame that like you would never expect the level of like craftsmanship from a Disney sequel, like live action. That would never happen again. You will never get that level of craftsmanship. They tried to do it with Star Wars, but Star Wars movies were horrible. At least the Disney versions is what I mean. But yeah, this movie's really, really great. I think for a while I've liked this more than the first one, but I think I like the first one more. Davy Jones is amazing in this. It's just the story's a little bit too convoluted, and I don't really love the beginning of the movie where Jack is like just like he's made himself chief of like a cannibal tribe. I could have done without that. I would have preferred like Jack to be somewhere else more interesting because that just lasts a little bit too long. Talladega Nights. This is another great comedy that probably is in my top 5, but I do need to rewatch it. But yeah, it's great. Oh, Ricky, nice of you to stop by. Nice to stop by. This is my house. I've been gone for like 2 hours, and they have like his picture. They have John C. Reilly's face put over his picture. Accepted. I was waiting a long time for this one to come out on Blu-ray, and then finally it did, and really happy about it. I think this is an underrated comedy. This is the first one I remember with Jonah Hill in it, and why can't I think of the guy's name? The main actor, what's his name? Justin Long. Yeah, I think this is one of the first ones I remember with him in it as well. Blake Lively's super hot in this movie. It's a shame she's kind of turned out to be, I guess, not a great person, but I don't know her. But she is still really beautiful, and she was especially at that time. The Departed, I rewatched this recently. I don't think I loved it as much as I did the first time, but it's still a really great movie. Jack Nicholson, I think, steals the show here, and I made fun of it in my review. I said, like, you know, the thing that makes me laugh is, like, how many times Leonardo DiCaprio says, like, I'm not the rat. He says that, like, 25 times throughout this movie, but really good. Really, really good stuff. It's one of the only Scorsese films that I'm like, it actually works the way that I think he intends, because a lot of his other movies, I think he gets caught up with, like, let's just have the characters curse the whole time, and like that'll be compelling. It's like, no, you got to do a little bit more there, buddy. The Prestige. This was my favorite movie for a long time. This probably still makes my top 10. I was late to the party with this. My brother had this, and once again, I look at the poster for this, and I'm thinking that like Scarlett Johansson looks like a phantom or something, and I'm like, maybe this is some supernatural movie, and I'll get freaked out by it, and it's not. It's don't get me wrong, it's got a little bit of supernatural stuff to it, but for the most part, great movie. The rivalry between the two magicians, the acting that goes on with this, Christopher Nolan, just craftsmanship at its finest. I think this is still my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. All right. Casino Royale, I rate this my best James Bond movie. I was late to the party on this one as well. When this came out in theaters, I was 14. Once again, I just don't remember hearing a lot about Casino Royale coming out. I don't know what I was doing. But great movie. It's one of the only James Bond movies that you can be like, no, this is one that people can watch even if they're not James Bond fans, and like it's like, hey, great movie. The Vesper theme is amazing in it. That was Martin Campbell that directed that. Martin Campbell's the same guy that directed GoldenEye, so he's directed, in my opinion, the 2 best James Bond films. I don't know if he's still kicking or not. I don't know. I think he was old when he directed Casino Royale. Deja Vu, really underrated. I did rewatch this a couple years back with who is now my ex-girlfriend, and she liked it, and I liked it. And yeah, this is, like I said, I believe this is Tony Scott. Yep. It's a great movie. Still holds up. If you haven't seen Deja Vu, watch it. Really good. I wouldn't say thriller, but just like kind of a suspense action ride. And the soundtrack's really good as well. And Val Kilmer's in it, to the late Val Kilmer. Another performance that he's good, that he has a good job. Rocky Balboa. This is probably my second favorite Rocky movie, just because it's got a lot of heart, and it's a relatable story about basically an old fighter that is trying to, have one last go. And it's like, why do you want to fight? What, you got nothing to prove? And he's like, just some stuff in the basement. Like, I have more to give, and I feel like I'm just wasting it. And he's like, so he wants to do it. A lot of good stuff with his son, with, just like people from his past. And it's a shame because the guy that played Paulie, he's now dead. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, Rocky Balboa, really underrated. Normally you hear like, oh, this is the 6th movie in this installment. You'd be like, why do we need a 6th movie? But Rocky Balboa, there was an actual story to tell. Zodiac, I need to rewatch this. Been a long time. This is David Fincher, I believe. Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch this. I remember liking it. And this has Robert Downey in it, and so this was like Downey did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, then he does Zodiac, and then I think after that he was already like greenlit to start Iron Man, and obviously his career looks completely different from what it was going to. 300. This was my former friend Jeff. This was his favorite movie. I need to rewatch this, but I saw this in theaters, and I think this movie is what got me into like realizing I want to be a movie collector. Because I was like, all these movies are coming out, and I need to own them. And I remember I watched this with my buddy Brendan in theaters, and it was great. And it was rated R, and we had to get like an older friend from church to basically sneak us into the movie theater, and basically like we went with them because we couldn't have seen this at the time. When 300 came out, I was 14, was about to turn 15, and obviously it was rated R. But it's great, and this is the thing. If a movie is rated R for violence, of just like, you see some blood and some bodies getting chopped up in a war film, I think it's okay for 14-year-old boys to watch it. Me personally, I was perfectly, like, I'd seen some worse things at that point. Shooter, I remember liking this. It's not a great film, but I liked it. I forgot what the actress's name is. Mara? What's her name? Kate Mara. Yeah, she's really hot in this. And the thing that always freaked me out with this movie is when they put him in that, like, thing that like it makes you shoot yourself. It's like a device that's like forces your arm to be like pointed this way with a gun. That horrified me because I'm like, the fact that something like that could exist, horrible. But yeah, this is, I think, as far as Mark Wahlberg's like early stuff, this is probably like my favorite thing that he did for a long time. It's definitely not Max Payne, that's for sure. I saw that movie in theaters and I kept trying to convince myself that there's something good here. There really wasn't. Disturbia, I love this film. I saw it in theaters. It's weird how like that front image looks really weird, looks cheap. But Disturbia is, I think this is a really underrated movie, and it's not even. It's a thriller, but kind of, but not really. It is a thriller, but it's not. If you're worried about this movie being super terrifying, it's not that. It's just a good time at the movies, in my opinion. And Shia LaBeouf does a really good job. He had a really good year in 2007, having this and then Transformers, and then it all started going downhill. Spider-Man 3, I still own this. There's enough here that I can enjoy. It's not a great film, but I still enjoy it enough. It's just known for the memes, basically, which is unfortunate. 2007 was the year of third movies in a trilogy, and I believe this was like, I remember it in like May and June. I think it was about right. We had Pirates 3, which is right here at World's End. We had Shrek 3, we had Spider-Man 3, and then we had The Bourne Ultimatum. So we had, what was that, 4 third movies in a trilogy, which is kind of funny to me. Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. I think this movie gets too much crap. It is kind of a convoluted mess, but at the same time, I do think there's enough here. And it's a good conclusion. You get to see, like, as you go to like Singapore, you get to see places you hadn't seen in the Pirates universe of what they look like. And it adds more stuff to the lore. The only thing I really had a problem with was I don't like how Calypso transformed into like a bunch of like a zillion tiny crabs. I did not care for that. And when she like became big, I thought that was horrible. I would have done something else. But yeah, great movie. Mr. Brooks, underrated. I had a former friend named Clint. He came over and had me watch this, and I think at the time I was like, maybe this is a little too freaky for me, because I don't really love watching people get like murdered like in cold blood. But and I also don't like movies that celebrate like murderers. But Mr. Brooks was like intelligent in the way that they did it, and I thought Kevin Costner was great in this. So, yeah, underrated movie. Demi Moore is really hot in it as well. Live Free or Die Hard. I need to rewatch this. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but I remember liking it. I caught this later on. I don't remember what year I finally watched this, but probably like 2009 maybe. But I like it. I need to rewatch it. I remember being in the theaters in 2007 and walking around and seeing like this gigantic Live Free or Die Hard like cardboard like cutout of like the movie, like just some stunt that he did. I believe they had a cardboard cutout of it. It was huge. Transformers. This movie took over cinemas in 2007. It was such a huge deal, and I love this. This honestly might have been in my top 10 movies of all time. And I know that sounds crazy, but like the score was there. The direction, I forgot who directed this movie. It was Michael Bay, obviously. No, the guy that did the score, I forgot his name, Steve Jablonsky or something like that. It's kind of a Russian name. The score is great in this, and this movie brought hope to like people being like, oh, I wonder if they'll ever make an adaptation of this thing that I grew up with. Transformers, like, we're actually going to take your property seriously and make it into something real. And the fact that they got Peter Cullen to do the voice of Optimus Prime, chef's kiss. The first one I still stand by is a great movie. You can knock the other ones if you want, but the first one is still great. All right, we got Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I believe this is my least favorite of the Harry Potter movies, mainly because a lot of it is just Dolores Umbridge being a bitch, and like just it's not really a it doesn't build suspense. It almost does the opposite, where like you start with like, hey, there's some plot lines going on of like there's this prophecy, Harry's getting visions of certain things, and instead of taking that somewhere, it feels like we just have to sit through like an hour and a half of Dolores taking over the school, and the music that they use and everything, it feels off. It's like two totally different things that I don't think work together. So yeah, this one's my least favorite. Still watchable, still good, but it's not my favorite. Harry's dealing with like love stuff here. He's trying to get the Asian girl, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's if you guys I met a girl. I can't remember which one it was, but we were talking about Harry Potter, and she said Order of the Phoenix was her favorite, and I was like, this is awkward. Bourne Ultimatum, once again, need to rewatch the Bourne movies. I remember liking this one a lot, but need to go back and rewatch it. Superbad, probably a top 5 comedy for me, maybe top 10. It's definitely in the top 10. Superbad's great. Why the fuck would it be between that and Muhammad? Muhammad's the most common name on earth. Read a fucking book. Why don't you go piss your pants again? It's like, that was like in 2nd grade, people, don't forget. The one I probably quote the most is I'll just say like randomly to people, be like, is this the line for the bathroom? Fuck me, right? Great movie. I think this is Judd Apatow, I believe. Right? It has to be Judd Apatow. Produced by Judd Apatow, directed by Greg Matala, but it's a Judd Apatow production. That's probably his best movie, in my opinion. 3:10 to Yuma, really solid. I don't think it's as great as I thought originally, but the ending is what kind of makes this. So, really good cast. Russell Crowe, Christian Bale. This is probably Russell Crowe's. This is the last movie where I feel like he still feels like his old self. Once he gets to like Robin Hood 2010, he's feeling like an older man, where he just doesn't feel like he's the action star anymore. But in this one in 07, he can still pull it off. And Christian Bale, solid. Christian Bale did Batman Begins, did Prestige, did 3:10 to Yuma, and then he was back on for The Dark Knight. So, really solid Western if you haven't seen it. Gone Baby Gone. I've only seen this movie once. I need to rewatch it again. I know some people think this is Ben Affleck's best film. I think I prefer The Town, and I don't think it's close. But I do remember liking this, so I need to rewatch it. All right, on to the next. American Gangster. I watched this about a year ago. I liked it, didn't love it. It's got really good direction. This is Ridley Scott, which is so weird to think Ridley Scott directed like an American gangster film. But Russell Crowe, I guess, yeah, back to back. He was in 3:10 to Yuma and this. He's really good, but I think Denzel steals the show, obviously. I just don't think this movie is as great as some people say. I would never rate this like a 5 out of 5 because it's long, but it's shot well. It's all that. It's just not as compelling as I guess what I would like, but it's still really damn good. All right. No Country for Old Men. Anton Chigurh, the character. Javier Bardem's performance. Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin are like supporting characters, and it's all good, but this movie feels like it's focused more on Javier Bardem. And me and my brother, we quote his lines all the time. He's like, "Where does your work? What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss?" Sir? Great movie. The Coen brothers, I don't love everything they've done. I didn't love Fargo. There's a lot of movies they've done. Burn After Reading I didn't love. But obviously I love Big Lebowski, and I love No Country for Old Men, and I also love their 2010 True Grit movie. So for a while they were on a pretty good run with me, but I don't think they've come out with anything since that I've loved. I Am Legend. When I was going to school, this was my sophomore year, I believe, when this came out. This was December of 2007. Yeah, so middle way through my sophomore year. There was other people that I were friends with that, they were movie buffs. And it felt like, if I said, like, I love Transformers and love Pirates of the Caribbean 3, they're like, casual. And to be cool, they're like, you have to love I Am Legend. So, like, I had a few friends that they were like, I Am Legend is one of the best movies ever made. It's pretty good. It's not one of the best movies ever made. And I don't love sitting through the dog scene of him having to kill his dog. It's horrible. The zombies also just look a little fake and cheesy to me, but it's a good movie. I need to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I watched it. It's just not, if you're expecting a good time, it's definitely not a good time with the movies. All right, next we have National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. I really like this one almost as much as the first one. I remember tennis had just started for me, so this was like spring of 2008. This had come out on DVD, and I remember I didn't have a vehicle yet because I was almost 16, but not yet, and I didn't have a car. And I remember I convinced one of the dudes that I was playing tennis with, I was like, hey, would you be able to give me a ride home? He goes, yeah, sure. And I was like, before we do, I was like, could you also give me a ride to Walmart? He's like, why? And I'm like, because I want to buy a DVD. And he's like, yeah, sure, I guess. And that was like one of the only interactions we ever had. And I'm sure he thought I was just a complete weirdo, but I was like, yeah, I love movies and I wanted to collect them, and this is one that I wanted. And I think it's really good. Nick Cage is a little, he goes a little crazy in certain parts of this movie, but I think it's overall solid. And I wish we just get a National Treasure 3. Disney, for some reason, was obsessed with just losing money. Like, they don't listen to what fans actually want, which is weird. Jumper, this is a guilty pleasure for me. I think I told this story in my last video that I made, my last Blu-ray rankings, but the thing I always remember about this is I went and saw the movie, like, February of 2008, and there was this, like, older girl that was, like, 3 years older than me. I had no chance. I looked like I hadn't even hit puberty yet. And I had her number. I don't even remember how I got her number because I was a good, slick talker. But I messaged her and I was like, Jumper was great. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I just didn't say anything. That was me starting conversation with girls that were way out of my league. In Bruges, I got to this one late. My buddy Thomas had us watch this in like 2010. Thought it was great. Loved it. It is one of my favorite comedies. It probably makes my top 10. It's an inanimate fucking object. You're an inanimate fucking object. Harry, I'm not trying to be funny, but you're a cunt. And you're always going to be a cunt. You retract that bit about my cunt fucking kids. All right, I retract that bit about your cunt fucking kids. If you haven't seen In Bruges, do yourself a favor, watch it. It's probably my favorite Colin Farrell performance. And he's really good in the new Batman movie as the Penguin, so it says something. 21. Apparently this movie like gets ripped where people don't think this is good. I think this is a really solid movie about blackjack. Kevin Spacey does a good job. This is probably his last role before he got canceled, where he was really damn good. Yeah, I think this movie gets slept on. Really good. It's the only Ben Sturgis movie I own. He never did a whole lot for me. Iron Man. This is one of the best movies I think that has ever been made about a superhero. I remember when Iron Man and Dark Knight came out, summer of 2008. I was 16. And I remember everyone was like, Dark Knight. And I love the Dark Knight, don't get me wrong. But I was like, I think Iron Man works better because Iron Man doesn't have the weakness that Dark Knight does. Where Dark Knight, that last like 20 minutes where you're dealing with Harvey Dent after the Joker's been taken care of, just kind of feels weird. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it has the same level of production or same level of epicness that it's not shot very well. It's shot mostly in darkness. And I don't know, the lines aren't very great. But Iron Man, it's great all the way through. Shout out to Jeff Bridges for his performance as Obadiah Stane. That was great. All right. Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This is, you want to say, a guilty pleasure for me. I just love the character of Indy, so I'll watch him in just about anything. And I think this movie is not as bad as people say it is. If you compare it to the original 3, yes, it's a complete step down, but it's not as bad. It's funny that they had to CGI ants and CGI monkeys. That, I think they did a mistake on. But I would have just come up with a different sequence. If it's going to look like crap, I would just write something differently. That's what I would do. Incredible Hulk, got that nice green case. I think this movie is a B+ to an A. I keep using different rating systems. Whatever. It's a 4 out of 5. I think Edward Norton was great as Bruce Banner. I think people just forget about this movie. I think it was great. Tim Roth was great as the Abomination. And Liv Tyler does a nice job as well. And William Hurt as Colonel Ross. This is like every movie can't be the first Iron Man, obviously. But if you can't be the first Iron Man, be this. Because this is just solid entertainment with comic book characters where they were taking it seriously. And unfortunately, Marvel will never do that anymore because they don't believe in taking it seriously. They believe in, like, let's make sure we show our diversity with the cast. And let's cast people that you've never heard of before. And let's have a bunch of cheesy jokes that don't actually land. And I don't know who they're for. But we can't have anything too serious. It's a shame. All right. Wanted, they curve bullets. I think it's a cool little movie. I haven't watched it in forever, but I think it's a cool little movie. I had a cool streak in 2008 where we went and saw, like, I think Wanted came out on a Wednesday and Hancock came out on a Friday. And so, like, we went to the theater 2 out of 3 days to watch 2 different movies, and that was pretty fun. And we had just seen Incredible Hulk like a week or 2 before. Summer 2008, that's like all I was doing. Actually, just the year 2008, that's all I was doing was going to see movies. Me and my buddies, we had just turned 16, so that's all we were doing. It's like, hey, we're going to see movies. Hancock, Not a great film, but I need to rewatch it. It might not stay on the shelf for very much longer, but it had enough there that I liked. Hellboy 2, I was late to this one. I remember liking it. I've only seen this movie once. I need to rewatch it, but Ron Perlman as Hellboy is just something I'll always sign up for, and I don't think it's as good as the first one with the story, but worth a watch. Dark Knight, I don't really need to say anything about Dark Knight. Heath Ledger was amazing in what transforms the movie from a good movie to a great movie. Transcends, I should say. If there's a weakness to this movie, on top of what I mentioned about the ending, I would say Maggie Gyllenhaal. Everyone likes to say that Katie Holmes was like such a, not good she wasn't a good actor in the first one. I actually think Katie Holmes is a better Rachel Dawes than Maggie Gyllenhaal does. I just don't think Maggie Gyllenhaal was cut out for that role. Katie Holmes, I think, pulls off like a lawyer working for the district attorney. I think she pulls that off a lot better than Maggie Gyllenhaal. Just seems like she's too quiet and nice to be in law, to be honest with you. Step Brothers, I didn't see this movie in theater, so I was late to this one as well. It just looked like a stupid, pointless comedy, but it was actually really funny, as people know. Fucking Catalina wine mixer, what can you say? Tropic Thunder, I saw this in theaters, and I remember laughing my ass off when they show the early trailer of Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. doing their love thing as priests. It's funny. This movie, I remember at the time, I thought this was hit or miss, where I was like, some things really made me laugh, and then other things I'm like, just, they were going for jokes, didn't land with me. But I think Tropic Thunder is really solid. Downey is hilarious. A lot of really good stuff here. I love Matthew McConaughey in this movie. What do you need, Les? Glasses? See, my client Tug Speedman needs his TiVo? You know, that seems kind of dated now, but... And obviously Tom Cruise, he stole the show in that movie as Les Grossman. They talked for a long time about wanting to make a Les Grossman movie. I'm kind of happy they didn't. Really, they should just make a Tropic Thunder sequel. That's really what they should do. Eagle Eye. I think this one's underrated. Billy Bob Thornton, Shia LaBeouf, Michelle Monaghan. Really underrated. Just give it a shot. It's just a nice little thriller. Got good music, too. Look up Loss of a Twin, Eagle Eye soundtrack. Really good. Rock and Rolla. What's a real rock and roller? I don't think I saw this in theaters. I think I just picked it up on DVD and was like, I'm going to give this a shot because I like Gerard Butler. And it's solid. It's not great, but it's solid. Rest in peace to Tom Wilkinson. He's now passed, but he was really good in that movie. All right. Role Models. Role Models. This was my favorite comedy of 2008. So I like this more than Tropic Thunder or Step Brothers. And I did rewatch this recently. It's still really damn funny. Sean William Scott, I normally don't like a lot of his stuff. He's good. Paul Rudd, I think this is my favorite Paul Rudd role. Yeah, it looks like Shrek's pissed. This motherfucker tried to grab my hang down. I got my own hang down to grab, kid. And yeah, the guy from Superbad, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, he's good in this. I think he's still better in Superbad as McLovin, but that was him kind of like, oh, is he going to be in a lot of comedies? And then he kind of just faded away, to be honest with you. Because I think people realized he kind of could just play like one part. He didn't have a whole lot of range. Quantum of Solace, I think this movie gets way too much hate and crap. I think the editing, don't get me wrong, is sloppy and bad, but aside from that, I know it's saying aside from that, it's still worth a watch. It's still enjoyable. And the scene at the end where he spares Vesper's old boyfriend is, I think, really powerful stuff that people sleep on. And Dominic Green has a really good plot, in my opinion, of making people think you're going after oil when you're really going after water, and water's the most precious resource that we have on the planet, so... yeah. Yes Man, I rewatched this not too long ago. It still was good. I don't think it's as funny as I would like it to be, but it's still solid. And this was the last like really good Jim Carrey movie, in my opinion. I haven't seen the Sonic movies, so I heard the first two I think are really good. Valkyrie, I really like this movie. I think it's slept on and underrated. Great cast. It's all about like Hitler and like a sect of the Nazis basically wanting to take out Hitler because they realize he's going to like get them all killed and ruin Germany. So they try to basically, on multiple occasions, try to kill him and assassinate him. And it's really good. And some people complain because they're not speaking in German. They clearly show at the very beginning of the movie that Tom Cruise is speaking German and then it transitions to English. Hunt for October does the same thing where Sean Connery is speaking in Russian and then it transitions to English. Well, it's the guy that's in the scene with them. But anyway, I don't mind when movies do that because honestly, if you're going to get like a Western production and you're dealing with people that are from Europe or Asia, if you want to cast actors that can all speak those languages, that's great. But you also have to be like, all right, but is this actor good enough to play this whole part throughout the movie? I think it's easier to go, hey, we found the perfect guy for this role. He just doesn't speak this language. You just do the one scene where they transition. I think that's better. Gran Torino. Need to rewatch this. I remember liking it, not loving it. It does feel a little slow. I need to rewatch it, but I do love Clint Eastwood. Taken. I was before everybody else on Taken. I was the hipster, and what I mean by that is I remember seeing trailers for Taken and telling people this looks really good, and people were like, yeah, whatever. And when it came out, it was great. But I remember like watching. I would go to firstshowing.net, which I think is still around, but that was the movie website I would check constantly. And I'd be like, oh, new trailer, Taken, looks good. And I think I had a pirated copy of Taken that I was showing people. I think my brother might have got it for me. But I just would pass this out and be like, yeah, we got to watch Taken. But it's a really, I mean, it's one of Liam Neeson's most iconic roles. I mean, it's probably his most iconic role. But it's a really solid action movie. I haven't watched it in a long time. It's only 91 minutes. I need to rewatch it. All right, I got one more row for this video, and then we'll be done. I think we're making decent time. Watchmen. I didn't get to see this in theaters because this was March of 2009, and I was about to be 17, but a month away. So I wasn't able to watch it. So I just, waited until it came on DVD and then finally watched it with my buddy Johnson. I think this is a great movie. I think I love it even more now than I did then. I think it's great. I think it's almost flawless. And when I think of Zack Snyder films, it's 300, Watchmen, and Man of Steel are my three that he did back to back to back. I guess Sucker Punch is in there, but I think those are great films altogether. And yeah, I don't know. I'd give Watchmen like a 4.5 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. It's, like I said, near perfect to me. I just am super compelled by the story. The fact that I guess you could say there's 4 different main characters, but I'm not a Night Owl guy. But aside from him, I love Rorschach. I love the comedian. I love Dr. Manhattan. They all 3 have aspects to their characters that I'm like, I relate to that. When I was doing my deployment, this was 10, 11 years ago in Afghanistan, when when Dr. Manhattan talks about, he's like, I am tired of Earth. I'm tired of these people. I'm tired of being caught between the tangle of their lives. I don't know if he says lies or lives. I don't remember. But either way, I was like, I can relate to that because there was so much crap popping off, not only with like the enemy, but just unnecessary drama that was happening on my deployment. I was like, I want to be away from people. So that I related to. The comedian, I think the comedian was the first one I liked the most, when people were talking about like, what happened with the American dream? It's like, what happened? It came true. He has a lot of really good points where he, just laughing about everything, saying it's all just a joke. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, his performance in Watchmen is really underrated. And then, yeah, I think Rorschach, I was watching his scene the other day of just him talking about, like, that's the difference between us, Daniel. It's like, never compromise, not even the face of Armageddon. It's great stuff. I forgot the actor's name that plays Rorschach, but he did an amazing job. Time out real quick. I'm going to turn my air conditioning off. All right, let's try to finish this up. Fast and Furious 4, I was mentioning earlier with Fast and Furious 1. This was the first one that I saw in theaters. I think I saw this on my birthday. I think this came out April 3rd, 2009. I like it. I don't love it. I do need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in forever, though. All right. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Why do I own this, you may ask? It's mainly just because Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth is really good. And the soundtrack's not bad. But it's not a great movie, but this is more like a guilty pleasure. I'm not even saying I enjoy it that much, but there's enough there that I like. But I probably will get rid of it eventually. I don't hate it the way some people do. Some people hate the movie. I don't hate it. But it's not good. Star Trek. Haven't watched the Star Trek movies in a long time, but I remember I went to the theater kind of reluctantly. It was like me, I think it was near the last day of junior year. Me and a lot of buddies were like, hey, what are we doing? They're like, hey, we're going to see Star Trek after the last day of school. So we went and did that. And I liked it. And I did not grow up liking Star Trek. I was a Star Wars guy, and I thought I had to hate one if I liked the other. And I was like, I thought this was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I liked it. The Hangover, this took over everything as far as comedy, where people are like, have you seen The Hangover? I still think it's really damn funny, but it probably isn't as funny as there's some other movies that I think hold up better, but this is Todd Phillips who did Old School. I hated Hangover 3. I saw that in theaters and absolutely hated it. Hangover 2, I think I saw in theaters, or maybe I think I saw it in theaters. I remember liking it or thinking it was okay. I have it on my shelf. We'll get to it, but yeah, Hangover 1. I need to rewatch it, but I remember liking it. I think my favorite line is when they're like talking to Mike Tyson and like the guy, his agent, or not his agent, but the guy that's with him, his bodyguard, whatever. And he's like, "That's our friend Doug's jacket." And the guy's like, "I don't give a fuck." Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I need to rewatch this one. This is probably one of Tony Scott's last movies. I guess maybe the other train movie, Unstoppable, might be his last, but need to rewatch it. But this was probably the last role that we got with John Travolta before he just like stopped getting roles altogether. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I believe I saw this in theaters twice. I liked it. Didn't love it, but I liked it. The action sequences were really good. And I'm here to watch the Transformers fight. I'm not really here for a lot of the other stuff. I did hate the forced comedy in this movie. That in the first Transformers, it works fine. In this one, I don't think it works much at all. Except for when he shows up to college and they say, like, "Freshman, is that your car?" or whatever. And he's like, "Where's your friend?" He's like, "He went to go get you a tighter shirt." And they're like, "There isn't a tighter shirt. We checked." So, fun stuff there. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This is my favorite Harry Potter movie. It's the first one I saw in theaters. I love this one. It's dark, but it still is the last one where like they're actually doing a school year. And yeah, I don't know. And the characters have matured and now like they're going after the Horcruxes. So there's a lot of awesome stuff in that one. Or at least they're trying to find out about Horcruxes. Inglourious Bastards. This is my favorite Tarantino movie. I do need to rewatch it, but I remember loving it in theaters. And I know some people are like, "But Hitler doesn't die like that." And I'm like, I don't care. I'm all for taking some fictional liberties to enhance your story. I'm all for that. Zombieland. This was the other. It's weird. It is a comedy, but it's weird because I don't always just think of this movie as pure comedy. But this was such a pleasant surprise. I remember I saw this movie with my buddy Clint at the time. We went and saw Zombieland, I think, on like a Sunday morning. Weird that it was on a Sunday morning, but I was like, yeah, this was really damn good. Yeah, it's. I saw the second one, Double Tap. I thought it was okay, but it just was more forgettable. But I don't like Jesse Eisenberg in a lot of stuff, but he was perfect here. And Woody Harrelson was like one of my favorite characters from this movie. Tallahassee, he was amazing in that role. But yeah, we'll always have the first one. So, oh my gosh, Law Abiding Citizen. Aside from the ending, I think this is near a flawless movie. Gerard Butler does a great job. Such a cool idea for a story about basically a guy that gets wronged by the legal system. Normally you have like a PG-13 movie where he's like trying to get the right lawyer or trying to, The Fugitive, which I love, trying to defend himself. This is like he's actually going at, like he's wanting vengeance against the legal team, not just like against the guy, which he gets his revenge against the guy that ruined his family. But Law Abiding Citizen, great movie. It's just a shame we never got a sequel. I mean, I guess Clay, what is his name? Shelton, what's his name? Oh, what's the character's name? Clyde Shelton. It's a shame he dies in the movie. He shouldn't have died. Avatar. I saw this in theaters in 3D. It was the only movie I've ever enjoyed being in 3D because it was kind of made for it and it looks good. But definitely worth a watch. It's a long movie. How long is Avatar? 162 minutes, almost 3 hours long. I think it's worth a watch. I think people, if you're sleeping on this movie or it's cool to hate on it, the first one I think is really good. I saw Avatar 2 a couple years ago on like a date, and I was like, I've already seen this movie. It's Avatar 1. They even brought back the same villain, which I did not like. Sherlock Holmes. This was a pleasant surprise for me because this was Downey when he was like, okay, he's getting all these big roles. So this was his second franchise, and I would still want a Sherlock Holmes. I want a Sherlock Holmes 3, and it's a shame we haven't gotten one, but I like this one more than the second one, just slightly, but I think it's a great movie. Daybreakers. I went on a weird relationship with this movie. I had it at one point, then I got rid of it, and then I bought it again. I saw this one in theaters. It's like the only vampire movie that I really like. It's basically what if vampires took over the whole world and like the humans were like the scavengers and they were almost near extinction. And the vampires they're having a blood shortage, basically. So, interesting concept for a movie, and I think it's done really well. Book of Eli, when I first saw this movie, I was like, wow. I was like, that's like one of my best movies I've ever seen. I don't think it's that. I think I was just astounded by like that they threw religion into the movie and it actually worked. But I need to rewatch this. It's been a long time. Gary Oldman's performance is a little bit just like hokey and funny. Where it's a weapon. But Edge of Darkness. Haven't seen this one in theaters. I remember I went on like a, I don't know what you want to call it. I went on a date. I was with my buddy, but I brought the girl I was in love with. She came to the. She had been to the theater with us a few times, but this is the first one where she didn't have her boyfriend that I was hoping that hoping they would break up. She kind of just, boom, she was my everything kind of out of nowhere. It's just infatuation. That's kind of how it works. But anyway, I don't remember much about this movie. I want to rewatch it, but I remember liking it. The Wolfman, this is like a guilty pleasure for me. I think that this movie gets too much hate. It's not a great movie, but I think it's intriguing enough to just deal with these characters and in this world and in this time frame. So, worth a shot. I always like Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, and Emily Blunt does a good job in that movie too. Clash of the Titans, haven't rewatched this in forever. I remember I saw this. I was turning 18, and this was like my 18th birthday present. I took like me and a bunch of my buddies that they spent the night at my mom's place basically, and then we went and saw Clash of the Titans. I believe maybe we saw it the Friday night, and then we spent the night. I don't remember. I want to say we saw this on a Saturday, but that might not be correct. But I remember liking it. It's not a perfect movie though, and I need to rewatch it. I remember seeing the second one once I was in the military, and because at that point I was buying everything on DVD, even if it wasn't all that good, and I convinced myself that was a good movie. I don't even know if it's still. Okay, I was like, maybe I might still have it on Blu Ray, but I think I got rid of it. All right, Kick-Ass. I haven't seen this in forever, but I saw that in theaters and really liked it. I need to rewatch it, but I remember thinking it was pretty damn good. Losers, haven't seen this since the theaters. Remember liking that as well. I think it was like this and the A-Team were the two. We weirdly got like two teen movies in the same year. It's weird how that works. Like, I guess one studio finds out the other studio's doing one thing. Like, we got to compete with them. I don't know. It wasn't as good as the A-Team in my opinion, but I liked it. Iron Man 2 doesn't deserve all the hate that it gets. It's not an atrocity of a movie. It's not as good as the first one, not even close, but it's still pretty cool just to be in the Iron Man world. But yeah, it's good. It's not great, but it's fine. Robin Hood, haven't seen this in forever. This was maybe like Ridley Scott's last, I don't know, it's the last decent movie. I didn't love Prometheus. I think Prometheus was made well, but that's not my jam. I don't want to watch all that crap that happens in that movie. But yeah, I need to rewatch this one. The A-Team. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters, which I think is the most I've ever done, because I had 3 different sets of friends that hadn't seen the movie. And I was like, no, you got to watch A-Team. I remember liking it a lot, obviously. I wasn't down to just watch all these. But I'm normally not the dude. I don't want to watch a movie multiple times in theaters. I see it once, I decide if I like it, and then I'm going to get it when it comes out. But yeah, it was a really fun time. I just need to rewatch it. It's been a long time. A lot of these movies from like 2009 on, I just haven't seen them forever, and I just have bought them, and there's time has gone by, and I feel like I'd never had the time to watch all these. So it's something I want to do. And the last one with these is Toy Story 3. Once again, haven't seen this, I think, since theaters. Remember really loving it. I was surprised that it was like the perfect ending to this Toy Story story. And it's crazy because we don't ever get quality, like the amount of quality movies in a year. We will never get that again. I mean, I would like that, but the way that Hollywood is going, maybe they'll learn their lesson. But all right, that's it for now. Part 3 will be coming probably tomorrow, but that's it for now. Have a good one, guys.